Welcome, Dr. Moskowitz. I'm sure you have a lot of interesting things to tell us this morning, and I'm very excited to have you here for an interview. I know that you've started several institutes in the past in America. You had a college at Chrysalis Energy Center in Seattle. Did I say it right? Chrysalis Energy Center in Seattle. And you also founded the Achlama Center for Healing in Jerusalem. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're busy with now? What's your passion at the moment?
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be here with
Yes.
you, Dr. Viv. And I've been into the healing aspects of life, I guess, since I was a teenager, and I was introduced to many of the techniques from the East, and also from European methods, and I was always looking since I became Jewish again and found my roots. I was saying there must be something in Judaism which holds this. And so when I came to Israel, I didn't want to push off many of the methods that I learned from before, but I wanted to take in what we have. And it's been a long journey, because I could have done quite a bit, and you know, in Israel, people want to know all the different methods that they have from outside in the whole world. So it was an amazing series of events that brought me to be able to understand that the Tehillim are really the healing, great healing part that Jews have used for 3,000 years. And I found out that King David, who was the major contributor to them, is the master spiritual therapist of all time.
Wow. That's one big statement, and I think that many people who understand what Tehillim are would agree with you 100%. So you've come a long way. You've started out at the Rutgers Preparatory School, American University in Washington, D.C., and then you went to Santa Fe School of Massage, and then the National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Seattle, Washington. And after that, you were with the Psychodrama Institute of New Haven in Connecticut. And so you've done an awful lot of learning. You know, your whole life has been learning healing skills. Would
Right.
you say that's true?
Right. I think that it was became a passion when I was in Santa Fe, and I learned with my first teacher, and he and what he had to offer after I was to practice what he taught us. It worked, and it was a very exciting feeling to someone was in pain and all of a sudden they got better, and I was the facilitator for that. So I said that feels good, and then I went and just kept learning more. So when I started out in life, I didn't know what I was going to do, but in a sense, Hashem has led me along this journey. And once when I met a Chabad rabbi, he told me that for the Chabad rabbi, they started him out in Crown Heights because Hashem knew that that's what he could handle, and he just went along with the program, and he became a great Talmid Chacham and scholar, and he was able to give to the world. He said, but Hashem knew, God knew that for me, I could go to all these different contorted directions and then come around and then hopefully have things to offer people when they come, because as we know, people come from different backgrounds, and they're been through so many different difficulties in their lives. So I think that God led me to all of these paths, so that when people come, they don't have to get freaked out by what they've been through.
Yeah.
And so so what I found was, I wondered, why Tehillim would work for 3,000 years. Whenever someone was in a difficulty, the rabbi said, read Tehillim, go to Tehillim. And as Americans, especially someone who didn't know the Aleph Bet, when about the language, when I read it, and many English speakers have this difficulty too, we don't know what we're saying, and so we say the sounds, and we say a certain amount, and it works. We don't even know why and how and what, and so my theory was that if they work and we don't know what we're saying, what would happen if we did know what we were saying, and how much power would that give us?
Yeah. So how did that develop?
So that developed when it's a long story, and the introduction of the book affords that. I came up with this whole thing, and I'll tell you how this thing evolved about the Tehillim cards, and I just got a chance when I came back to Israel in 1996 to teach in a women's yeshiva. It was in Bat Ain, and it was a new yeshiva, and and I knew the person who started it, and she really didn't know what she was doing, but she had a tremendous will to make something that was experiential. So she looked for teachers, and nobody really wanted. She had difficulty finding teachers. So I had an opportunity to teach, and I thought about the theory. Wow, if you don't know something and you really want to know it, teach it. And so I started saying, I want to teach Tehillim, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I just knew that I had to keep 2 steps ahead of the students and develop a course. And so I just started. And I don't know, for 2.5 years I was like working this whole process with the students, using many of the techniques I knew before, using what King David was giving us, working with music, with meditation, with conversation, working with Chavruta, a buddy system of studying, and on all different methods. And one day I wrote out a pasuk, one pasuk, one sentence on a card, and gave one to each student. And they went off with this for a week and gave it out to people and talked to them, and they came back with astounding results. I didn't know what happened, but people were like so mesmerized and so struck by the power of one sentence when it's isolated that it also shocked me. And I found out that the Tehillim is made up of 150 chapters, parakim, and over 2,000 sentences or psukim. And I found out that each one is like a power.
Can you give us an example of what you're talking about? For instance, a pasuk and what happened with it?
Yeah. So as it worked out, I wrote one out, and in the class, what we still do and what we did was go through each one pasuk, one sentence, and just like if everybody remembers diagramming of sentences in English, and I use that skill, that you have subject, verb, object, you have clause, phrase. So when we read it, we don't know what we're reading because in Hebrew things are inverted. They put the subject after the direct object, which is after the verb, it's just crazy, and we don't know what we're saying, and we have a suffix at the end of even one line. So what I did was I diagrammed the sentence in Hebrew, and I made sure that every English speaker understood what the sentence is saying, and that's called the pshat. That's called the simple meaning of the sentence, and that's the place where we have to start, because we know that in Hebrew, in our Torah learning, we have 4 different parts of it. We have pshat, drash, remez, and sod, and that stands for the simple meaning, an interpretation, a hint of what it's saying, and then the secret behind what it's really saying. And the Torah is so deep that we have all 4 of these parts of everything we read from the Holy Scriptures is happening simultaneously, and it's only through learning in a organized fashion that we can really grasp